After Transformers The Last Knight was released, the general consensus among the Transformers fandom was that it couldn't get much worse. However, this is the live-action Transformers franchise, a franchise where anything is possible. I hope this video is everything you guys want it to be, because in preparation I had to do something that I swore to never do. I had to re-watch Transformers Rise of the Beasts, something I did not enjoy doing. In fact, the reason it has taken so long to get this video to you guys is because I was procrastinating re-watching this movie. I do not like this movie at all. Alright, so Transformers Rise of the Beasts was directed by Hasbro and is the worst that the Transformers franchise has to offer. This is a movie that puts me to sleep. This is a movie so boring and uninteresting that I would rather watch Transformers The Last Knight, because that movie may be bad, but at the very least, I can have fun watching that one and enjoy dumb shit like this. The plot of Rise of the Beasts goes something like this. The Autobots team up with a couple humans and the Maximals to stop Unicron before he destroys Earth. And before we even get into the meat and potatoes of this plot, you've probably already picked up on the fact that this direct sequel to Bumblebee jumped to Unicron very quickly. But as we always do with these movies, let's break down this movie and really dissect why this is the worst Transformers movie. Because there are some doozies in this franchise, so there is a very hard bar to beat. But I firmly believe this movie does it. Just like the rest of the Transformers movies, this kicks off with some sort of Transformers-esque flashback. And this one opens up on the Maximals' homeworld, and the first thing you've probably noticed is that these are Earth animals. You're probably wondering why they're Earth animals. The movie will not explain why they're Earth animals, so don't worry, it's just some lucky coincidence that they look like Earth-based animals. But the premise of this scene is that Optimus Primal, Airazor, Cheetor, and Rhinox, four characters that the movie really wants you to think are important in any way, are helping Apelink get the transwarp key off-world because Unicron has sent his lackey Scourge to go get it. Now, the transwarp key is very important to Unicron because it is with that he can travel through time and space to eat all these worlds. Now, if you're like me, you already have a question about this, because if he needs the transwarp key to do this, then how the fuck is he here right now eating the planet? Now, I will say that overall, I think this opening scene is really solid. It's just some classic Transformers shit. Cool visuals, cool robot designs, we get some lore, we get some action, and we get a title drop that actually got me pretty excited for what the rest of the movie was going to be. Now, outside of the plot hole, there's really only one issue I have with this opening scene, and that is that Apelink is killed without really putting up a fight. In my opinion, a villain isn't threatening just because they could beat someone's ass in a matter of seconds. Like, that's not intimidating to me. I think that being a badass should complement a villain's character, but I think they should be able to stand on their own outside of that, and the opening scene just has Scourge kill Apelink and leave, and we're supposed to believe that that makes Scourge a threat, but you never really feel that he's a threat. But let's briefly talk about the Maximals, the titular beasts that are in this movie. We have Optimus Primal, the interesting one, and in a different movie I would have loved to have seen him just be the main character in this movie. Then we have Airazor, who is just a plot device, and then we have Cheetor and Rhinox, two characters that the movie often forgets are in the movie. And I checked, Rhinox does not have a single line of dialogue in this film. As for the transwarp key, it's whatever, it's not the worst MacGuffin in the franchise. It might be the worst MacGuffin in this franchise, it's just so boring. It does, like, it serves its purpose in the story. Yeah, it does what it needs to do, but it's not exciting. It doesn't even look that cool. Like, say what you will about the Bay movies, but at least the relics and the artifacts in that looked alien and otherworldly. I mean, hell, look at the Matrix of Leadership. It looks awesome. The Transwarp Key is just, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a brown thing. But the scene ends with Scourge kicking ass, and don't worry, we're going to talk about him and the rest of the Terracons at a later scene that I feel is actually better to talk about them. And then Unicron destroys the entire planet and we get the title card. Now, I would like to remind you, in case you forgot, this is the direct sequel to Bumblebee. Now, before we can get into the rest of the movie and talk about the introduction of our human characters, there's a deleted alternate opening we have to talk about because it's arguably the most talked about scene in this movie, despite the fact that it's not in this movie. I don't know where it would have occurred because you kind of have to have the opening with the Maximals, so I'm guessing this would have been right after the title card before we're introduced to Noah. That's the only place I can think this scene would have gone. In the marketing for Rise of the Beasts, you may recall seeing two different Decepticons. One of those was Megatron, but that was debunked pretty quickly as just a concept design meant to complement the rest of the toy line, because Megatron is nowhere to be seen in this movie, not even referenced. Now, it's a sick design, and if Paramount and Hasbro ever remember to put Decepticons in these movies, I would love to see Megatron take on Optimus Prime. I think that is an awesome design. But the other Decepticon was Transit, who turned into a bus. Now, Transit is a more interesting case, because Transit initially was in this movie. Now, it's a scene that opens with Optimus hunting a Decepticon, and he's giving a little narration on what the Autobots have been up to since they came to Earth. And once he finds Transit, they have a little fight, and Optimus just straight up Bay-style executes this man. It's a cool scene, but not really one that fits in the movie, and I get why it was deleted. It introduces Optimus too early. It brings in the Decepticon component, which makes no sense because there are no other Decepticons in this movie, so I get why it's not here. So why am I mentioning it? Well, the reason I'm mentioning it is because this scene is what this entire movie should have been. The setup at the end of Bumblebee was that the Autobots are coming to Earth and the Decepticons are coming after them. So instead of having a completely disconnected storyline, logically the sequel should be robots in disguise of the Autobots and the Decepticons hunting each other on Earth. So it's funny to me that the deleted scene is the thing this entire movie should have been. Anyway, back to the scenes that are actually in the movie. Noah Diaz, played by Anthony Ramos, serves as our main human protagonist this time around. Those first couple scenes, if I'm being honest, are pretty dope. He's a former soldier who was discharged for what sounds like having trouble being a team player and wanting to protect his family, and it has made it very difficult for him to find a job because people don't want to hire him given that military history, but his family is really struggling and he's trying to help out in the best way he can. This is solid writing. This is how you introduce a character, and this is a great jumping off point for what should have been the best character in this franchise. Unfortunately, after his first couple introductory scenes, this movie does nothing with Noah. And I'm not sure why Noah's brother Chris wasn't A, on the adventure, or B, just the main character in the movie. He's not only more interesting, but the movie wants to have him be part of this narrative so badly, going so far as to have him and Mirage in constant communication. But that's just taking time away from what the movie should be focused on. If you want his brother in the story that bad, send his brother on the adventure as well. But Noah, at the very least, has some level of charm. He seems like he'd be a good friend. He's a guy I'd love to go and grab a few drinks with. The other human character, on the other hand, is so bland and forgettable that I had to look up her name. It's Elena. I have nothing to say about Elena because she is a nothing character. Like, I swear to God, I think the only reason she is in this movie is because every other Transformers movie had both a male and a female human. And so therefore, this one needs to. So we're gonna put this person in there for some reason. Again, just send Chris on the adventure. Make Noah and Chris the two human characters. Now, I'm beyond fine with Noah and Elena having no romantic feelings for each other at all. In fact, I prefer it because every single live-action Transformers film before this had a romance at the center of its story. So the fact that we're now doing something different makes me really happy. But they don't even feel like friends. Also, I'm sorry I lied. Her entire role in the movie is not to stand in the background. Her entire role in the movie is to give exposition so bad that it sounds like it was written by AI. Now, the Transformers movies are no stranger to exposition scenes. These scenes are all over the Bay films. But Bay at least directed those scenes with energy. They didn't feel like they were wasting time, and it helped that there were actors like Stanley Tucci or Frances McDormand that know how to make crappy exposition work. In this movie, it feels like no one involved in these exposition scenes knew how to handle exposition. The most Elena does is tell us that the Airazor statue does not exist in recorded history and the symbols do not stem from any form of hieroglyphics. That's cool, I'm into that. More of that, please. Now, Elena breaks the casing, which reveals half of the Transwarp key, and don't worry, once the other half is brought into the story, we'll talk about why this doesn't make much sense. But this leads to a storytelling trope that I despise with every fiber of my being. I hate when writers use the only a certain group of people can see a specific thing trope to justify why not everyone can see insane feats. It is the lamest way to write yourself out of a corner. So the Transwarp key is going to shoot a beam into the sky to signal Scourge and Unicron. But there's a problem with this. This movie takes place in the 90s. And despite the fact that this movie is so clearly a reboot, based on Unicron being here, these movies are still afraid to break away from Bay formers. So they need to pretend that human beings do not know about Transformers. So they decide that this beam that is literally changing how the sky looks can only be seen by the Cybertronians.
Huh. That's just lazy writing.
Back to Noah, who is so desperate to make money that he agrees to help boost a car for one of his friends. Now, I actually still really like Noah up to this point, and I like this idea. I think it's always a ballsy move to get the audience to care about a character who is going to do something just unquestionably wrong. But they make you feel for him and they make you understand why he's doing this, and I think that's really solid. The bummer is that the moment he gets into this car, any semblance of an interesting character leaves his body. Now, there are two actors in this movie who I genuinely believe are doing a phenomenal job. That's Pete Davidson, who voices Mirage, and Ron Perlman, who voices Optimus Primal. I'm going to talk more about Ron Perlman when the what the hell are they called? The Maximals are actually properly introduced into the movie. But Pete Davidson in this movie, like, you can tell he's just having fun being here. He likes being in this movie. He likes voicing Mirage. He is the most charismatic robot in this movie, and even though I don't love all of the writing they do for this character, when he's on screen, it gives me as an audience member something to latch onto. Another thing I actually really like is that first chase with Mirage when the cops are after him. I think that's an awesome scene. I have no notes on that. I would not make a single change. I like that Mirage does mirages and he like puts out like illusions basically. And then the shot of Noah looking up when Mirage basically transforms himself around so he's facing the right way, I think that's awesome. I take no issue with that scene. I think everything starts to fall apart after that scene. So with this, we have the Autobots. Now, if the Maximals are underutilized and the humans are underutilized, you would probably imagine that the Autobots are getting all the spotlight. You'd be wrong, but it'd be a good guess. The Autobots in this movie are so starved for writing and personality that it makes me miss Skids and Mudflap. First up, Optimus Prime. I don't understand how you mess up Optimus Prime this badly. Now, I have gone on record saying that Optimus Prime's entire arc in this movie is a copy-paste of his arc in Age of Extinction, except done worse. Yes, the movie that has a scene justifying why someone can sleep with a child does a better Optimus Prime than this movie. Optimus Prime is so character assassinated in this film that I legitimately think the movie would be better if he was not in it. He hates everyone and everything, and he spends the entire movie acting like he has better things to do than protect people, which, by the way, at all times, should be Optimus Prime's #1 goal. This should be adhered to just as strictly as Batman's no-kill rule. If there is only one aspect of Optimus Prime that you get right, it should be this one. Now, if the movie actually did what Age of Extinction did and at least tried to build a story around why Optimus Prime is acting this way, I'd be okay with it, because in that movie, he's being hunted by humans, so it makes sense that his trust in them would be destroyed. This movie, on the other hand, does not attempt to show us or even tell us why Optimus hates humans. They just decided that it would be fun if Optimus Prime was racist for some reason. This is also the single worst design he has ever had in live action. The Bumblebee design was perfect. Why would you change it? But they turned him into a cinder block, took most of the color out of him, got rid of the ion cannon, and overall made his dimensions so weird that he can't even move right. This G1 head design for Optimus also does not work without a faceplate, but they decided to go back to him having a retractable faceplate, and this face is the Bayformer's face, which does not work on this head. Also, in the marketing, they said that they tried to make Optimus's face look like Peter Cullen, which, sure, maybe Bay did. I don't know if the people who made Rise of the Beasts realized that this is the Optimus face design from the first 3 Bay movies, but it, is, with, no changes. Except, I mean, I guess it looks worse, but, it doesn't look... It's the same face! Next up, RC. This movie's marketing was really proud of the fact that we finally had RC in a live-action Transformers movie in a substantial role. And that's awesome. So was I. I think RC's a great character. Have you watched Transformers Prime? She doesn't do shit in this movie. I actually cannot think of a single thing she does in this movie besides be there and give exposition. Both female characters in this movie. Actually, no. Air Razor's also an exposition machine. If you are a female character in Transformers Rise of the Beasts, your entire purpose is to give really bad exposition. Wheeljack. Oh, Wheeljack, what the fuck did they do to you? Bumblebee had the perfect Wheeljack design, and this movie said, I know how we can make it better, before proceeding to make it worse in every conceivable way. They also try to go for this Bay-esque joke.
A little racist, Hermano. I'm not trying to be,
That does not land at all, considering that it's not supposed to be a joke. Like, it's a legitimate question, so it just makes Wheeljack worse. And if you thought RC did nothing in this movie, she at least gets screen time. Wheeljack just shows up after everyone else and then is just like, I guess, there. He walks around. He's in like a shot of the final battle. Wheeljack is one of the best Autobots. Again, just go watch Transformers Prime. They do him justice in that. Next up, Stratosphere. He's the plane, nothing more. Stratosphere does lead to the only funny part of the movie though, so he gets some bonus points for that.
Yeah, I'm walking to Peru.
Again, Mirage is the only Autobot in this movie with any semblance of a personality. Though you'll have to tell me if I'm crazy. But I swear to God that Mirage's vehicle mode and Mirage's robot mode are not the same car. Like, I look at it and I see aspects of the Porsche. I see the two headlights, but design-wise, there is nothing else on that robot that matches the Porsche. Am I crazy? Now you'll probably notice that there is one Autobot I neglected to mention initially, and that's because I wrote like an entire TED Talk on him, so he had to get a section all to himself. Bumblebee is fucking horrendous in this movie. I officially hate this character. Any semblance of personality that Bumblebee had in all of the other movies is completely sucked out of him in this one. He does nothing in this movie. He has nothing to contribute. He has no reason to be here except to die. And I am convinced, no, I am certain, the only reason Bumblebee is in this movie is because he is in all of the other ones. Bumblebee not having a voice box up until now was always a super interesting concept because he would still have full conversations. It was just through things he constructed through radio broadcasts. It gave him a really interesting voice and it gave him a fun quirk. Now this movie trades all of that in and has Bumblebee communicate exclusively through movie one-liners. And the first couple times he did it, I was like, haha, that's funny, movie reference to something that was big at the time. But then it keeps going to the point that Optimus Prime himself acknowledges it. So that's all 6 Autobots. Wait. At the end of Bumblebee, he and Prime are already on Earth, and 7 more Autobots fly to Earth. So where the fuck are the rest of the Autobots? We should have a team of 9, and we only have a team of 6. Now let's talk about the villains of this movie, the Terracons. And first off, remember when Transformers landing on Earth was a big deal? So Scourge and his minions show up, and no one cares. But to be fair, their designs could not be better. I hate them as characters because much like everyone else in this movie, they have jack shit to work with. But design-wise, the design team, they clocked into work. I do love that Scourge keeps the insignia of the Cybertronians he's killed as trophies. It does crack me up, though, that when he transforms, the insignias are in a different place. That's not how that works. And he's voiced by Peter Dinklage. Now, I love Peter Dinklage in everything he has done, except this movie. I don't know whose fault it is, but his performance as Scourge just does not work for me, personally. Peter, I love you, though. You deserved every bit of that Season 8 Emmy. You did so well with whatever the hell they gave you. As for the other 2 Terracons, check their names real fast. Nightbird and Battletrap. They look awesome, especially Battletrap. By the way, like, what do these new movies have against Decepticons? In Bumblebee, they invented Decepticons so that they didn't have to use the Decepticons. And then in this movie, there just aren't Decepticons. Like, what's wrong with Megatron? Or like Starscream, Soundwave, Shockwave, friggin' Barricade. I'll take Frenzy in his little head form at this point. Also, like, In the Beast Wars cartoon, Megatron transforms into a dinosaur. Why would you not put that in the movie? The museum fight sucks. It is the worst live-action Transformers fight, and yes, that includes The Last Knight. The Optimus and Scourge fight is so hilariously bad. Optimus gets defeated by a light post. You know what? Get closer. Let's get really intimate here. I'm gonna say that again just in case you don't think you heard me correctly. Optimus Prime, the several million-year-old warrior and leader of the Autobots, gets defeated by a light post. There's also random explosions happening constantly. And yeah, obviously, Bay was blowing shit up constantly. But at least his explosions were motivated by something. You knew where they were coming from, unlike whatever this is. As for the other robots, they just get thrown around. They shoot guns that look dumber than Nerf guns. Everyone's quipping for some reason, and the part with Tweedledee and Tweedledum escaping the museum is somehow more exciting to watch than anything involving the Transformers. How did we get here? In the year of our Lord 2023, when this movie was released, how had we backtracked this much as a society? And Bee's death is fun. Like, it's actually funny. It's so poorly done. Also, this is just some straight up unfinished sound mixing.
Your captain, my captain?
No!
There's actually multiple instances of that in this fight. Just several times where sounds are either not synced up or just not there. B is so poorly handled in this movie that not only did I not feel anything when he died besides joy that I didn't have to hear those stupid one-liners anymore, I also forgot he was dead. B dying should be the most emotionally resonant thing in the movie. Hell, B dying should be the most emotionally resonant thing in the franchise. But I don't care. It doesn't help that they show both his death and his full resurrection in the trailer. And to make it even worse, they eliminate any semblance of tension that he's permanently dead by lugging his body around for no reason the entire movie. That way when the plot finally decides it's time for Bumblebee to come back to life, he can come back to life, instead of, you know, building an interesting story around bringing him back to life. You know, Revenge of the Fallen was made during a writer's strike, and they did this better. But then the Autobots are rescued by Air Razor, and it's fine. We're fine. Problem solved. The Terracons just kind of leave, the Autobots retreat, and then we get an exposition scene where I would like to once again remind you that the transwarp key has not been something Unicron has needed until now. Okay, so you know how for years people complained that the Transformers took a back seat in their own movie? Well, this movie listened and got rid of them entirely. The second act of this movie, for the most part, is just an Indiana Jones film. Yeah, the Autobots just hang out in Peru while the humans go solve shit for them. And like, I would love to say, like, oh, the Autobots are doing something important up top. No, they're not. They're just sitting there not helping or contributing at all. The only important thing they do is Mirage throws Noah, like, a little gauntlet blaster thing he can use that is so obviously a blaster, and you would not believe how long it takes Noah to realize this. Okay, so as for the treasure hunt, Noah and Elena find like Predacon and Terracon and Maximal insignias. I don't remember what all they find, but they find them on like this little door thing, and that's how they know they're at the entrance, which is an awesome idea, and it gives Elena something to do for about a second and a half, but it completely negates the idea that there's no recorded history of this stuff, because it's just sitting in the open in this Peruvian town, clearly in recorded history. And once Noah and Elena get in, the movie treats what they did, like, thematically like it was an accomplishment, despite the fact that it wasn't really an accomplishment. And then Scourge sends his little bug after them, and then he and the rest of the Terracons go after the Autobots. This scene should have been everything anyone ever wanted it to be. So everyone starts chasing each other, and Optimus decides it's time to throw down.
I'm going to take back Scourge's key and then take off his head.
Now, I was so hyped when I first saw this. It had been almost a decade since Optimus, like, did cool shit on screen, you know? And this was some of that classic Optimus shit I grew up on. This is how I'm used to Optimus Prime talking. I was so excited for something cool. I was so hyped that I was almost able to ignore the fact that Scourge was right on Optimus's ass the entire time, but when Optimus transformed, Scourge was somehow like a mile back. But then Scourge transforms and tackles him off the cliff. It is going down, boys. It's going down. So they hit the bottom of the hill, and it is off to the races. If you thought the first thing Optimus said was cool, let me present to you the second thing Optimus said.
I can think of no better place to bury you.
This is so awesome. I hate this movie, officially. I think I've decided that I legitimately hate this movie. I don't say that about very many movies. And it's not like the rest of the characters fare much better. It's a slow chase against an unexciting backdrop. No one's getting the upper hand on anyone else. They're just kind of all shooting and driving in the same direction with no real purpose to any of it. And like I don't get the vibe that these are ancient warriors at all. Like, I've had fights with my action figures that are more exhilarating than watching this. And then to top it all off, Airazor makes the dumbest decision a fictional character can make. So she was shot by this weapon that Scourge has that slowly poisons her and is basically zombifying her and turning her into an agent of Unicron. So, does she A, mention it so they can try to fix it, B, stare at a wall, or C, says she's fine and do nothing? If you picked anything other than C, then congratulations, you put more thought into this than the creators of this movie. This is the single dumbest trope in fiction. I have always hated this. There is nothing more irritating. There's nothing that makes me dislike your movie more than when a character has very necessary plot-related information and just neglects to tell it so that we can pad out the runtime. It's fake tension, it's bad drama, and it's bad writing. Do not ever do this. You have a character who is actively turning into a zombie and will try to kill everyone she loves, and she's like, nah, don't worry about it. Like, that was not a bit, that was not planned, and now I'm fixing the mic. All right, let's get this repositioned. I swear I'm not that angry. I'm not, I promise. All right, I think we're back. And of course Airazor goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs later. Shocker. And so Primal has to basically kill her. And this is a great moment for Primal's character, because this is someone he loves. This is his family. These are the only people he has seen in I don't even know how long. This is someone he legitimately cares about, and he's the one who's forced to kill her. So when he does, guess which character we're focused on? Take a wild fucking guess. Now, I mentioned Primal, so you're probably wondering where the beasts are. We are over halfway through a movie titled Rise of the Beasts. We haven't seen any beasts. Now I can talk about Ron Perlman. His performance in this movie is too good. Like, he's doing such a good job that it makes me even more upset about how little of the movie the Beasts have been in. And it helps that Primal is the only character in this movie with any iota of a conflict. He came to Earth to hide because Unicron destroyed his home, and then he finally meets his idol, the man he was named after, Optimus Prime, and he turned out to be a massive dick. And so now it has Primal questioning basically everything, because what is he supposed to do if the man who is supposed to lead them all to freedom and inspire all of them has given up? This is like really solid writing, and it's how you kind of want your characters to be written. It's a bummer that Primal's the only one that has this level of internal conflict. And I honest to God think that the easiest way to fix this is to take the Autobots and Unicron out of the story and just make a Beast Wars movie. Make Optimus Primal the main character and give the other beasts something to do. Because as it stands, this is a movie with 3 different factions, a couple humans, Unicron, and a world-ending treasure hunt. And all of it just piles onto each other and bogs everything down when the movie should be focused on what the title says, the Beasts. But the Beasts have no actual bearing on the plot. In fact, the plot makes more sense if you take the Maximals out of the movie. For example, the Maximals had no intention of leaving Earth. We also know that the transwarp key can be destroyed. So why didn't they just destroy it and then there was never going to be an issue at all? I didn't know. Also, like, they're African animals in South America. Come on, guys. So Optimus Prime wants the transwarp key so that he and the Autobots can go back to Cybertron. Few issues with this. Optimus ordered the evacuation of Cybertron and sent Bumblebee to Earth intentionally to see if it was a place they could use as a home, and then redirected every other Autobot there. This was Optimus's idea. They're also not on Earth because they were stranded there. They're on Earth because the Decepticons won the war and the Autobots had to run away. So how would getting the transwarp key solve anything? Alright guys, you watched Bumblebee when you wrote the movie, right? There were 5 of you. One of you had to have done your homework, right? Now, right at the act break, we get a plethora of unbearable bullshit. So Optimus and Noah are both veterans. You may have noticed this. The movie has made it pretty clear. They are both war veterans who are trying to protect their family and would love nothing more than to just go home, but there are bigger things at play, but they do not trust each other. They just have to work together. Like, they are the same guy. They are written to be the same guy. Remember when I talked about how to write characters? This is how you're supposed to write characters. But instead of letting the audience pick up on this insanely obvious aspect by themselves, it is told to Noah by guess who? In a monologue so on the nose that I once again refuse to believe humans wrote it, because this is not how humans talk. And then there's the scene where Noah tries to destroy the transwarp key, which is what, like, they should have just done in the first place. But Optimus talks him out of it because he so badly wants to go home. And it's a scene that really thinks it's accomplishing something. And to be fair, it would be if the movie had done any bonding between Optimus and Noah up to this point. I think the only conversation they've had in the movie up to this point is just Noah telling Optimus that he's xenophobic. I honest to God think that is the only time these two have spoken to each other. And they have a discussion right after, and it's a scene about looking after their own, and it's the scene where it should be made clear that they're the same guy, but the movie blew its load by having Elena describe it to us. I hate movies made for people with TikTok brain. Now it is at this point in the movie that you'll realize that this is just Age of Extinction, and I'll prove it to you. Optimus Prime hates human beings and teams up with a human who's just like him to go on an adventure neither of them want to be on because they don't like each other and they just want to take care of their respective families. Along the way, they team up with an ancient race of Transformers who take the form of animals to fight an enemy that is neither an Autobot nor a Decepticon and is working for someone far more powerful than them. Both villains seek to destroy Earth and humanity, and Optimus is also on a personal revenge quest because one of his closest friends was killed in the process. Which movie did I just describe? Age of Extinction or Rise of the Beasts? Now, if you watch reviews for this movie, people shout out the fact that Optimus was finally given a character arc, despite the fact that this arc was ripped right out of Age of Extinction, which is somehow a better movie. The Beasts are also incorporated into Age of Extinction far better than they are incorporated into Rise of the Beasts. Anyway, let me get back on track. I want to loop back to that scene of Optimus and Noah talking because it calls to attention a really big issue with this movie that I have not yet mentioned, and that is the visuals. I'm not sure what happened. This movie had the same cinematographer as Bumblebee, and yet all of the soul is gone. Considering this movie has the same cookie-cutter aesthetic of most big Hollywood blockbusters these days, I'm going to assume this is a result of the studio rushing production on the movie to get another Transformers movie out, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to criticize it. This is the single most bland-looking blockbuster I think I've ever seen in my life. Every scene is shot and framed in the most boring way imaginable. There is no depth or sense of scale. There's no color. Every scene happens with characters standing in one spot and delivering their lines. Hell, even the transformations are boring. That should never be the case in a Transformers movie. The visuals are lacking, the plot is dumb, the characters are non-existent. There is literally nothing for me as an audience member to latch onto while watching this movie. And yes, all of that is amplified in the third act. This is the worst third act in a Transformers movie. This is one of the worst third acts I've seen in a while, actually. This movie trades cities or anywhere with some sense of size or scale for a gray backdrop that makes Endgame's finale look visually interesting. The Transformers are completely lost within it, and it completely fails to showcase their size or power. Hits don't feel weighty, shots don't feel destructive, nothing has any tangibility to it, and that's not helped by the CGI that I can confidently say for the first time in Transformers history is not amazing. It's suitable at best. Some shots look phenomenal, and some shots are clearly unfinished. Now, this is on no part the VFX artist's fault, who I'm sure would have loved to make this movie look like the greatest visual spectacle you've ever seen, but we live in a world where Hollywood is completely screwing VFX artists over with crunch time and deadlines that are completely unreasonable, that should not be safe work conditions regardless of what the profession is, and I'm so happy that they're finally starting to unionize, because it's bullshit that they have had to work like this since their entire existence. And quite frankly, it's amazing the movie looks as good as it does, knowing that that crunch time is a thing they had to deal with. The Transformers in this fight blend together in a way that makes everything just look like a giant gray tumor. The only characters with any color to them are Optimus, Bumblebee, and RC, but it's so desaturated that they don't even look like their correct colors. Everything is super washed out. It is literally just visual noise. As for the contents of the battle, how do you make Transformers lame? Just like, on a fundamental level, they should never be boring, but they are in this movie. I don't care about what's happening. Prime and Primal teaming up to kill Battletrap should get me excited, but I just feel like a vegetable when I watch that fight, and I hate how much of a quip fest this is. This entire movie, I should not see Optimus Prime cracking a joke in the heat of battle. And before you even try to tell me that he's dropping one-liners in the Bay movies, there is a huge difference between this.
Who would you be without me, Prime? Time to find out.
and this.
He was mine.
You should not have two characters who act the same. It is a general rule in writing that if you have two characters who serve the exact same purpose, you either need to combine them into one character or get rid of one entirely. The problem here is that everyone is the same. Optimus is joking around for some reason. B is speaking exclusively in one-liners. Mirage, I don't think, has a single serious line in the movie. And Wheeljack is doing this shit.
Sorry I'm late. I was taking in a harmonious moment between a serene butterfly and an unruffled caterpillar.
I think the only character not joking around constantly is RC, but that's only because she's not in enough of the movie to get that treatment. Again, these are ancient, multi-million-year-old warriors. They should not be acting like this. But while all the robots are fighting, and by the way, I forgot Wheeljack, Cheetor, and Rhinox were in this movie, Noah and Elena's job is to sneak through a tunnel to get to like the main computer that Scourge is at. Now, there's a couple things. So they said that the reason Noah and Elena have to go through these tunnels is because they can't fit a Cybertronian through these tunnels. These are human-sized tunnels. The main computer is also human-sized. I'd like to let you guys know this is Cybertronian tech. Did none of you proofread this? Now, this next thing is just a personal gripe. And I know that most people won't be bothered by this or care at all, but I don't think the Maximals should have robot forms. Now I can kind of get it for someone like Cheetor or Rhinox because they just have 4 legs, but like Optimus Primal transforms from a gorilla into a gorilla with a battle mask. It is hilarious. And they end up staying in animal form for most of the fight. So like, why even give them robot modes? Okay, so while a bunch of visual stimulation is happening down below, the actual important stuff happening is on the bridge to Scourge's little data tower or whatever it is. And because Noah and Elena are in the tunnels, Mirage decides to buy them time by distracting Scourge. And I've always found it funny that he does more damage to Scourge than Optimus has up to this point. But he does more of that like Mirage illusion stuff, and I'm always here for that, because like that's actually something fun. But Mirage's death is kind of unsatisfying. Like, I don't hate it. In fact, I like that we lose him. I like when we lose characters in these movies. I'm of the opinion that every movie we should like lose 1 or 2 Autobots because this is a war, so I'm fine with that. But I don't know, it feels like the movie hasn't done enough with Noah and Mirage's bond to justify this sacrifice. But at least it works enough. It serves its purpose. I'm okay with it. Now, what I hate though about this scene, and I'm gonna try to remain as calm as I can when I say this, because I don't want my headache to worsen. Noah gets a fucking Iron Man suit. I know it's in the original cartoon, but there's a difference between a cartoon from the fucking 80s and a live-action blockbuster movie. It's stupid, and I cannot believe they thought it would work. It's silly, it looks silly, the movie acts like it's this really hype moment when it's really not, and can I please have some fucking Transformers in my fucking Transformers movie? The cool thing about the humans in these movies is that they can't really help, so they have to find other ways to be useful. Marky Mark gets a pass in Age of Extinction because his alien gun was used within reason and he still needed several Autobots worth of backup to make it effective. But in this one, Noah has an Iron Man suit and can 1v1 Scourge, who has killed both Bumblebee and Mirage and beat Optimus Prime's ass. But don't worry, guys, Noah's here to save the day. It's so dumb, and after all the shade that Transformers The Last Night got for this shit, I don't know if I'm impressed or pissed that they actually had the audacity to try it again. You know what? I'm gonna say it. The Excalibur moment was better because at least that's more visually interesting. It's shot well, Excalibur looks cool, and the music's awesome. You know what's not awesome? Is Anthony Ramos's face sticking through a stupid glass screen on his dumbass looking suit. If it wasn't in the movie, I might at least respect the movie. But the fact that it is has officially gone too far. So after Scourge and Noah have their fight, which is never a sentence that should come out of my mouth, by the way, we get some classic Optimus Prime shit. He always has to arrive to the battle late in a moment of need. And it's always cool, except this movie proposes the question, what if it wasn't?
He is not alone.
It's not even like there's anything wrong with it. I think it's just that I am so tired by this point that nothing can excite me. Now, to the movie's credit, this is the only shot in the entirety of this film where you get a sense of scale. So Optimus and Scourge fight for a while, but before Prime can rip him to shreds, something very important has to happen. The plot has now caught up to Bumblebee's corpse. So when Unicron was summoned to Earth, it sent out a power surge, basically. And Bumblebee's body was laying on top of a rock, and the energon flowed through the rock, and it brought him back to life. So now Stratosphere can airdrop Bee into the battle. And oh, what's that? His revival was in the trailer? It's awesome. Now, I will attest, Bee has one good one-liner in this movie. It's this one.
I have come here to kick ass.
That was the only one that elicited some sort of emotional response out of me. Now, Bee does come in with a new vehicle mode. I have two questions about said vehicle mode. One, where did he get those parts? Two, why aren't they on his robot mode? Looking through my notes, this is where I officially lost my mind watching this movie. Because the next one just says, in all caps by the way, there is so much out of place licensed music in this movie. Now I have nothing else to add to that really, just the fact that it's true, and outside of James Gunn, I have yet to see a single movie that did the licensed soundtrack well. And now that the Guardians movies are over, I hope Hollywood stops trying this. They won't. For what it's worth, this shot is really cool. If you're still awake at this point, congratulations, you're a stronger man than me. Now here's a fun fact. When I went to see this movie, there was a crying baby in one of the first rows of this very massive auditorium. And you guessed it, its crying was louder than the movie. Guessing when that baby would shut the fuck up was the only mental stimulation that I had in those entire 2 hours. In addition to that, if you're the parent who brought their baby to see Transformers Rise of the Beasts, I believe it was around 1:30 p.m. on June 11th, 2023. We were in the Dolby at the Cherry Creek AMC at Colorado. If that was you, go fuck yourself. Oh yeah, so Optimus obliterates Scourge.
It's time to show you the real power of the Prime.
Just adding that to the list of things that people get mad at the Bay movies for doing. But with all that, we now get to wrap up this stupid conflict. So as Unicron is about to consume Earth, which, quick tangent, you're probably wondering, John, how do all the people on Earth not see a giant planet coming towards them? Well, I'm glad you asked. So they decide that a bunch of clouds are gonna come in and cover like the entire planet, which is why no one can see Unicron. What's funny though is those clouds weren't there when he destroyed the Maximal planet. It's literally just like, I don't know, we need a reason for them to not see Unicron. Clouds! Okay, but while he's about to consume Earth, all the main characters put their heads together, and Optimus decides he can get the kill shot on Unicron but will die in the process, but they decide to go for it. So everyone retreats, Primal vows to fight in Prime's honor, and Bumblebee takes on the distinction of leading the Autobots, not because he deserves it, but because he's been in the most movies. Optimus does hit us with this classic Optimus Prime comeback.
I can give you everything you want. Then die.
May as well add that to the list of things people hate in the Bay movies as well while I'm at it. So none of you guys expected Optimus to die here, right? So Optimus destroys the portal, and as Unicron is sucked off, so too is Optimus Prime, until someone grabs him and starts to pull him back.
No. I got you.
I can't with this movie. It's so bad. And I get that the suit can take the weight, but that's not even the issue. The problem is that everything is getting sucked into the vacuum of space, except Noah for some reason, who is not only impervious to this, but he can also pull Optimus out of it. Him holding Optimus is a dumb thing I can excuse. Him pulling Optimus is a dumb thing that bothers me. Him pulling Optimus while everything, including Optimus Prime, is being pulled in the other direction is officially inexcusable. And Noah fails anyway, and drops Prime, and Prime starts going again, and Primal grabs onto him. Just have Primal grab onto him from the get-go. Like, yeah, it's still dumb that Primal's not getting sucked in as well, but I can at least believe the fact that Primal can pull Optimus out of it, unlike fucking Noah. But then the movie has the audacity to play a remix of Arrival to Earth. You don't get to do that, movie. That's not your song. This isn't your continuity. Like, it comes out of nowhere. If Arrival to Earth had been sort of like brought in a more creative way and incorporated into the main theme for this movie, which I don't even know what it is, by the way, I would like be fine with it. Like, it's the same thing with the James Gunn Superman theme. Like, the John Williams score is so important to that movie that it kind of becomes one with it, so it makes sense. Randomly tossing Arrival to Earth into the end of your movie after it's been at no other point in the whole movie does not work. They at least got Steve Jablonsky back to write a new version of it. I guess in this movie's eyes, that means it's not a reused theme, even though it is. So after they all get away and they look back to where Unicron was and there's no damage or consequences of any kind, Primal says something that has always bothered me.
Unicron, is he dead?
Traps, but not dead.
So the movie was pointless. They didn't accomplish anything. That's awesome. What a waste of time this has been. Now, in typical Transformers movie fashion, we get an Optimus Prime speech. And you know what? It's a pretty cool speech. I like that it's about unity and coming together, and Optimus basically admits that he's changed. I also like that little smile he gives Noah. I don't know why. It's just cute. All around, it's nice to know that at least the last scene of the movie... What do you mean Noah has a speech that comes after Optimus's? I mean, at the very least, if you're gonna give Noah a speech after Optimus, you then have to give Primal one. Like, those are the three. The till all are one moment is the three of them. But no, Optimus Primal doesn't even get a speech in the movie that's named after him. And the final, like, monologue in the movie does not belong to Optimus Prime, but Noah. And as if it couldn't get worse, let me set the stage for the dumbest scene in the movie. Noah's given an interview. And in this interview, the guy starts to mention the Transformers, and Noah realizes he knows something. He's got to be some government agent. Noah can't cover this up. The guy says that Chris's medical bills are now covered from here on out. By the way, this guy has been in none of the movies, so this just kind of is a plot line that's resolved out of nowhere, and Noah's gonna be working for them from now on. They also have some sort of link to the Cybertronians, and they open a hangar and you see all sorts of cool tech. Now, anyone with a brain knows this is Sector 7. Not only were they a huge component of the 2007 film, but they were also a huge component of Bumblebee, a movie this is a sequel to. But no. Noah turns the card around, and it's G.I. Joe.
What the fuck is happening here?
Dearest Hasbro, for the love of everyone, please stop trying to make G.I. Joe work. It won't work. It never has worked. G.I. Joe didn't even work when G.I. Joe was working. And if you think you're a G.I. Joe fan, you're not. You're a Snake Eyes fan, and we saw how that movie went. That was like the last chance to actually do something with G.I. Joe, and it didn't work. And now that the G.I. Joe IP and the Transformers IP have both failed, their big idea is that if they put them together, it'll work. The MCU worked before there was an Avengers movie, just, in case that wasn't clear to Hollywood. Okay, so I'm gonna give two theories on this. One, the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie is going to be one of the most historical flops of all time. Theory 2, they brought Bay back because he's their only shot at making a good Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover movie. Imagine tanking both of your IPs because you decide to take them both when they're at their lowest public reception and cross them over into one movie. If that movie fails, all Hasbro is going to have left is like My Little Pony. You know what? Fuck it. Go all the way. Have Pinkie Pie team up with Optimus Prime and have Nightmare Moon team up with Megatron. Oh wait, they wouldn't do that because these new movies are afraid of Megatron for some reason. So I guess maybe Nightmare Moon can team up with like Razor Claw? Anyway, that's Rise of the Beast. I'm sorry, no it's not. There's one more scene, there's a post-credit scene where Noah, who has been shown to have zero traits of a car mechanic, somehow repairs and revives Mirage in his garage. Whatever, I don't care, I'm beyond the point of caring. I want to watch literally any other movie at this point. Yeah, it's bad. It's still bad. I don't ever intend on watching it again. Hell, I didn't intend on watching it this time, but it's so unmemorable that I needed to, or else I wouldn't have been able to make the video. Like, I would, honest to God, I'm being dead serious, I would rather watch Transformers The Last Night. The Last Night's not good. Like, it's really bad, but I can at least find some sort of entertainment value in that movie. There's something I can laugh at in that movie, and I can walk out of it not feeling like my time was wasted like this movie. And the thing is that regardless of how bad The Last Night is, a bad movie is far better than a boring one. But there's something I need to mention before I can wrap up this video, because it's something that can't be ignored. It really feels like this movie is trying to be a Michael Bay movie. They trade in the colorful G1-esque homage of Bumblebee and resort back to a mess of parts, especially for the villains. Optimus is dropping cold one-liners, it's a globe-trotting explosion fest, the movie ends with a massive war. Hell, we even have the racist jokes again. It's literally hitting all of the Bay tropes, but without the flair that makes Bay Bay. It's like Diet Michael Bay. And what do they say about the diet version of something? No one wants it.
Hey guys, Editing John here. It is super late. I am super tired. I've been editing this stupid video for way too long at this point. I could have and probably should have tapped out at any point, but I didn't. I powered through it. I made the video. But I just want to thank all of you guys who watched and supported these videos and this series. I never expected them to do as well as they did, and I'm glad that you guys enjoyed them and embraced them just as much as I enjoyed making them. Well, enjoyed making most of them. This last one was a pretty miserable experience through and through, as was probably evident by the video. but it has been so fantastic to do these for you guys. Will I eventually do Transformers 1? Sure, I want to. I actually really want to talk about that movie in a longer capacity because I love that movie. But I don't know, I feel like it needs to sit longer. Next time there's like major Transformers news, I'll probably talk about that movie. But I don't think the time is right. But yeah, thank you guys again. I'm gonna turn this off now. Have a good one.